Today I'm bringing guys a brand new sports cards video. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down where the basketball card market is right now and the tens or hundreds of cards that I believe that should be sold at this point in time. Now, before we get into that, I did want to say a little bit about our membership program because our membership program has been doing incredibly well over the last few months. And most recently, one of our very big hits in terms of recommendations that we made to our members was that on August 22nd of 2021, we recommended our members to buy up Joe Montana's 1981 Topps PSA 10s for $45,000. Now, this is for our ultra high-end membership group, which is the highest membership group, $10,000+ cards. But this Joe Montana in a PSA 10 has last sold for $95,000. The sale before that was $103,000, and the sale before that was $85,000. So whoever bought that from our membership group, from our ultra high-end membership group, more than doubled their money and made around a $50,000 profit. This is one of the many different investments that our members have made that have really taken off in price. Even recently, we've had a few that have jumped from around $250 to over $1,000. So if you guys would like to join in on the program and make some money with our members, the link is down below. So yeah, go check it out if you would like. Without further ado, we're going to hop right into this video. So we're going to be breaking down, a lot of the cards that I believe should be sold right now. So of course, the NBA is coming to an end. The regular season is coming to an end. And what does that mean? A good amount of teams are not going to be playing for around 5 to 6 months. So any team that is not making the play-in, and a lot of these play-in teams, or half of the play-in teams, are going to be done playing basketball for around 5 months. So that is a big concern for card prices around those players on these teams. Because what happens during the playoffs is instead of all investors' money going across all 30 teams, when the playoff starts, people tend to sell a lot of the players on teams that are not in the playoffs, and buy into teams that are in the playoffs, so they have upside on their money. And what happens is a lot of cards go down in price and take big hits. And what I personally believe is the best strategy in this case, for example, with players like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who of course is a very star-studded player. He's a very good player, but he's on the Thunder, who are in fact not going to make the playoffs. So for players like that, typically from here to the start of the offseason, which is in around June, you're going to see a decline from around 20 to 30% of current prices. And that is simply because there's not much demand for Shai's cards right now, because they're not going to be playing for another 5 months. And there's a lot of supply because a lot of people are going to be selling off right now. So I personally believe if you own, for example, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's cards, it could be a good time to sell off and buy back in the start of the offseason in 2 months at around a 20% discount at the bare minimum. And you can use that money right now to be buying into playoff players. We see this trend every single year. Typically, the best time to be buying these players is the beginning of the offseason, is when they're at their lowest, and then throughout the offseason, they start to go up before the next season starts. But right now, given we're not going to see Shai play until, likely October, that's going to cause some, a drought in his market for the next few months. And so that is definitely something to really keep in mind. There's a lot of great players even who are in this category right now, such as LeBron. I know that LeBron is a special kind of case because he's a little bit more, he's of course a lot more established than any of these young players. So his market is a lot more mature. There's always going to be demand for LeBron cards. So this does not really apply to LeBron. He can still see great offseason gains, especially if the Lakers make some moves. I think LeBron could be a great opportunity for next year. But guys like Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, right now there's so much uncertainty around their futures. There's so much uncertainty around their cards. And until the offseason starts, I do not see these cards really going anywhere. I think they're going to stay pretty stagnant. If not, go down around 10 to 15% for guys like Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. But where it can really hurt is for guys like Cade Cunningham, who's had a lot of hype around him in his rookie year, of course, being the number 1 pick. But, this offseason, there's going to be a new number 1 pick. There's going to be a lot more hype around the new rookies. And what happens is second-year players have a lot less hype and attention around them. And so guys like Cade Cunningham, who aren't going to be playing for 6 months and who are going to lose a lot of the hype, the new hype around them, you could see some big, steep decreases in these players' cards. I think Cade Cunningham is a guy who could see a 30 to 40% cut before the offseason even starts. So that is definitely a player who I'd be like quite, I would say at least you can't expect to see good, gains in the next few months. And same goes with guys like Jalen Green. Incredible talent. But, he's not going to be playing for 6 months, and you can probably buy in at a nice discount if you just sell off now and buy back later. And I think a lot of people are kind of using the same mentality, and that's causing these prices to really go down. But, at the end of the day, if you have to wait 6 months to even have a chance, to see your player play again, that is quite, tough for the card prices. Now, I do think offseason does leave a really good opportunity for these players because their cards usually sit very low around June, especially players who did not make the playoffs. And then the offseason, there's a lot of trades going around. There's a lot happening. There's Summer League, there's USA. So there's a lot going on to cause prices to increase starting in the offseason. But from here now until the offseason, there is absolutely nothing going on for guys like De'Aaron Fox, for guys like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green. Of course, the list goes on. Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, Zion Williamson, considering they don't make the play-in. Damian Lillard's another big star. Of course, De'Aaron Fox. There's so many stars on these teams, and you're not going to see them play for a while. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. I would, of course, I would say at some point, you should be buying back in if you do believe in your player, but you can buy in at a discount if you're buying in a few months. For example, Kyle Kuzma, we have Julius Randle, Tyrese Halliburton, Cade Cunningham, so many different stars, Cole Anthony, but I think it's a good time to be kind of at least thinking about whether you want to hold on to these players and be waiting at least a couple months before you see any price movement or any price increase. So I definitely think it is kind of a sell-off time for players who did not make the playoffs. Now, of course, off-season is the best opportunity. I will say that every single year in every single sport, the beginning of the off-season to the beginning of the next season, you're going to likely see a 20 to 30% increase in price just based on supply and demand. And so that is a pattern that I've noticed over the last 3-4 years. You can see great price increases just waiting out the offseason. So that's a very smart play, but from here, to the offseason, we're going to see some price decreases, and that's kind of expected. What you want to do with that information is up to you, but I definitely think it's a time to be thinking about selling your basketball cards if you own players who did not make the playoffs, and then for the teams that are in the playoffs, a lot of the times, they're going to get knocked out, and when they get knocked out, you're going to see a big price decrease as well. But if you're buying into teams that you believe in right now, if they're winning playoff series, you're going to see a lot of volatility around the players' cards, and you're going to see some great increases in price. So there's a lot of volatility in the playoffs. When a team gets knocked out, prices dip very fast. When a team makes it into the next round, you're going to see prices increase very fast. Now, one thing I would really keep in mind for the playoffs is seeding and matchups. So personally for me, I believe if Dallas faces Utah, I'm going to be a big buyer into Luka Doncic's cards. Utah has struggled quite a lot recently, and I personally just believe in Dallas in that matchup. There's a lot of different matchups. For example, Boston, Chicago. Chicago's been in a slump recently, and I think Lonzo Ball's out, so I think Boston's going to have a good shot to win the first round. And you can take advantage of those matchups and make a good steady increase in your increase in your card prices just by buying in for a matchup. So if you really believe in, for example, if you say, oh, I definitely believe that the Raptors have a shot against the Sixers and can stun the world, you can definitely make some good money doing that and buying into players on the Raptors. It is a lot riskier when the prices are so volatile in the playoffs, but if you can get some picks right, just like sports betting, you can make a lot of money. So use that information how you would like to, but that's kind of my analysis from being in the sports card market for a while. But I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. I hope it helped you guys out. If you would like to join in on the program, click the link down below to sportscardsinvest.com. Other than that, have a great rest of your day, and I'm out. Peace.